Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees. Yes, I am wearing an eye patch. No, I did not become a pirate. My contacts caused inflammation on my cornea, and that inflammation caused there to be a small puncture-like wound on my cornea, which is so cool. But it's really not a big deal. They gave me some eye drops and some gel to put into my eye. Tomorrow's the last day, and then I can get away from this pirate life that I did not want and did not ask for. Last week I posted on my stories on Instagram if anyone had any questions for me related to Germany, books, movies, films, and if they did, I would answer those questions this week in my video and also showcase my favorite post of theirs on their account. So I'm going to answer these questions first, and then I will go into my review for Adam Nevill's Apartment 16. If you want to support me, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram. You can send me a message. Any type of feedback or recommendations are always welcome. Flocka is a cat that lives in the office of where I was freelancing, and I posted pictures of her on my stories every day. She is a girl. I believe Flocka is probably middle-aged, so probably like maybe 9 or 10 years old. She is very, very sweet and patient and chill, and she will just hang out with me all day long. I have so many favorite horror movies. But I guess what I will talk about is the latest movie I saw that I thought was really scary and really compelling, and that was the new Suspiria. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was creepy. I really loved the ending. It was fucked up, and I love the aesthetic of it all. It's also filmed here in Berlin, or partially filmed here in Berlin, which I thought was really interesting. It was being filmed in the GDR days, so it was kind of cool and interesting to see that. Josh and I are old friends. We've known each other for a very, very long time. I've been listening to German rap artist Romano, to American rap artist Tierra Whack, bubblegum bass like Dorian Electra, game soundtracks like Anno 1808 and The Outer Worlds. It's just really kind of beautiful and ambient, and I like working to those. Some ambient minimal techno from Hex System. He does the interface animations, and Icelandic industrial punk band Hatari. I used to be a musician. I am no longer a musician. I think right now doing the visual arts is feeling really good. Like I was kind of playing around with stop motion, and I do these videos where I'm always kind of experimenting with editing, and I always wanted to film vignettes. Just like of moods or dreams or memories or just moments or something. I just always liked that aspect of like capturing like one small moment. There's something really amazing with that. And then when you bring in the music, it's just so powerful. I like a lot of different types of music, but I think the band that I have always admired so much is a band called Amun-Ra. There are 3 reasons why I like living abroad. I like living in Germany because 1, public transport is awesome. You can get all over the place. Not only can you get all over Berlin, from Germany to France or Prague or whatever, you have all of these options to like just travel, and it's really cool. The other thing I like is that the advertising is very minimal. Advertising is very, very controlled in Germany. So you're only going to see it at the bus stations, the tram stations, the subway stations, and the train stations. So you'll see it, but it's still minimal. It's not like all over the place. It's not huge. It's not in your face. And I really enjoy that. I really, really like that a lot. There is a lot of wheat posting. So you have people who are printing out, big posters for their product or their movie that's coming out or a concert or something, and those are pasted all over the place. There's something kind of organic about that because they go up and then they start decaying and coming off, and then they put some more up. The other thing that I like is that the healthcare is affordable, and having affordable healthcare takes a lot of pressure and worry and stress off of my shoulders. I do take medications for a few things, and I'm always worried about having some type of emergency and then just not being able to pay for it. In the United States, I would tell my friends, like, don't call me an ambulance unless I'm dying. You know, because I couldn't afford it. Here, even though I'm on private foreigners insurance, which is something you have to have when you are a foreigner, it's still so much cheaper. Am I here for the long haul? I think so, yeah. And I'm here because my boyfriend lives here. It was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I can learn German, and you know, what if we break up like 6 months after I get there? It's been over 2 years. And you know, it's been good. My passion for books came from being an only child and just growing up in a very sheltered and very strict household. I wasn't really allowed to do anything or go anywhere, so books were really my view out to the world. You know, books were really my friends at that point. So it's always had a really special place. You know, it's a safe place, happy place, just somewhere I can escape to and just be someone else and do something else. So I've always really been fascinated by Celtic fairy tales. There is a, I don't know if he's an elf, but his name is Redcap. Brian Froud, who is a very famous illustrator for drawing fairies, he did all of the creature designs for not Labyrinth. I think maybe it was Labyrinth too. I think he did do Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. He illustrated like this really small little brownie looking kind of creature, and he has all in this like medieval leather shirt, and he has like this like red leather looking cap on, and he's named Redcap because he dyes his cap in blood, which I always loved as a kid. But there is this thing called a fairy ring. What I really love about the fairy ring is its concept, which is if you see a ring of mushrooms in the forest or whatever, and if you step inside of the mushroom, you will be forced to dance, right? So you dance in this mushroom ring, and you dance in like complete heightened ecstasy of just dancing. Time speeds up inside of the fairy ring. So when you're in there, and if for some reason someone pulls you out of the fairy ring, it's been like 50, 60, 100 years. And as soon as you're completely stepped out of this fairy ring, you just expire. I think it's really cool. Like I've just always been really fascinated with this mechanism. So it's not a mythical animal or a mythical beast. It's a mythical fungi, I guess. Okay, so thank you to everyone who asked those questions. They were really cool and really awesome, and I really enjoyed answering them and looking through your accounts and finding my favorites. It was really hard to choose sometimes, but I chose the ones that I felt that I really liked myself, that I thought had a really special quality to them, and these are the ones that I chose to share. So I hope you guys like them, and please give a follow to these Instagrammers. They would be a really cool addition to your Instagram group. Let's get to the guest of the hour, Apartment 16 by Adam Nevill. An American flies to England to settle the estate of her late great aunt Lillian, who she's never met. When she arrives at her aunt's apartment building, it's actually a very old and very luxurious apartment complex. She's shown to the room. She goes through all of the stuff and is very thrilled to find tons and tons of pristine and meticulously cared for vintage clothing from the 1940s and up. April herself is a bit of a pinup girl, kind of a Biddy Page kind of type girl. She has black hair and the bangs and all that kind of stuff. And she's also a vintage clothing reseller. So she's definitely hit the jackpot. But all of these clothes fit her so well that, you know, she's probably not going to get rid of the clothes. But while she's searching through all of these drawers and closets and cupboards and things like that, she finds some diaries. And these diaries are hinting at something very unsettling. And it's about her great aunt. It's about the building. It's about her great aunt's husband. Also, their neighbors. April spent some time reading these diaries, and she decides that these are really weird and she's not really quite sure what to make of them. But what she does know is that staying in this apartment is getting weirder and weirder, and she's not feeling safe there. She's not sleeping. She's definitely not feeling comfortable. So she decides to handle her aunt's estate, meaning her furniture and all her other stuff, and selling the apartment remotely from a safe place. The porters that do work in that building have been there for a very long time and know the residents very, very well. But they also seem to be hiding something. And there is one porter there, most especially, who is definitely experiencing something very visceral and very terrifying. So to me, this setup is pretty juicy. And once I started reading it from the first couple chapters, I was already pretty into it. If you've read Last Days, it has a bit of a similar spooky vibe to Apartment 16 in the style of how Nevill visualizes the supernatural, which really, for me, speaks to me. Unlike Last Days, though, Apartment 16 is has more of a surrealness to it. There's more moments of bizarreness, grotesqueness, absurdness, that is very different from Last Days. Last Days to me was very cut and dry, but Apartment 16 has this kind of like surreal, awful landscape. And there are things that do happen in there that are just wild. He's also really good with dialogue. Like, I appreciate that so much. Because for me, if the dialogue is too generic or it's too basic or it's too, just sounds like 100 other million conversations that people write when they want to write that conversation for that moment, for that genre. It's really boring, especially when you are reading a lot of books. But I really like the way that he writes his dialogue. To me, it feels very natural. He also teases out information at a very good pace for me. Like, I liked it. And like, honestly, I think it was, you don't really start kind of like understanding what's happening until like, I don't know, it's like here or something. But that's not a bad thing because it had me so hooked. But like Last Days, to come back to Last Days again, this is a story about something horrible that finds you and you can't hide. I like that. I also really appreciate how he writes a scene and all of the little details that go into the scene that make you almost taste it. Like in the instance of, there is a porter in the book who smokes constantly. I mean, he's like smoking so many cigarettes that I felt like my chest was hurting and that I had to keep breathing deeply because it was just like, just so much smoking. And I used to smoke, so it's like, I know what that's like. Like, I know what it's like when you've smoked too many cigarettes. You can feel it all in your chest and in your head and everywhere. I forgot to mention that there's also a lot of art that's mentioned in here, and mainly Francis Bacon, if you're familiar with his work, plays a really big role, I think, in this book, and it's very, very cool. Once it starts to take off, I had a really hard time not reading this while I was at work because, I was just like, ooh, okay, now we're getting into the good stuff and now we're gonna get into like how, what, and why, and everything's coming to a climax, and it was getting really exciting. Like, it was really exciting. I thought it was super exciting. And I liked it. I liked the ending. April's character I thought was a little annoying sometimes, but I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was super fun. 88 points out of 114, which makes this a 4.5 star read. So that was the review. Those were the questions. I thank you so much for sticking around until the end of this video. If you have, I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much for spending your night with me, and I will talk to you next time.